segment we're going to be looking at G going to A going to B minor. Now normally we take the chord changes in pairs, but it's at this point that it's worth noting that although this solo started with E going to C sharp minor and all the other changes it's done, in the situation of the song it comes from, the song is actually in B minor. Okay, now we're working through our G and our A, and the reason this is important that we have actually three chords together is because we understand where the G and the A are going, and what I mean by that is harmonically what they need to be as we start moving back towards our B minor. Now those of you who watched the series I did on playing over minor chords will probably hopefully be shouting out at this point, aha, hang on, that's a type 1 minor. So okay, type 1 minor is when you can play the natural minor scale, or to put it another way, the relative major scale. So in B minor we can play a D scale right the way through this change. Quite effective. Now again, this takes us back to the idea of contrast. So what we've got here is a contrast harmonically. We're actually linking three chords together because we're using all the similarities that bind them, okay, not the differences. That gives us a contrast which is arguably a lot more subtle than some of the other things we've talked about, like playing less notes or playing more notes at different points. But I think nonetheless it's just as valid, in fact almost more valid for that reason. So it's a little bit of subtlety into what's going on. Now, as ever, that's not the only way that you could approach that. You could stick with the idea of saying, well, okay, I've got the chord shapes there, and there's nothing wrong with doing that at all. Okay, what's happened there? Now it makes sense. Now I'm hearing, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, okay. Now it's equally possible you may even take a combination of those things. They're all ideas based around thinking about the scale or the chord shape or both. Okay, now that's about it really for this particular series. We had quite a challenging chord sequence there, but it's really, really important to note, and this is why I make no apologies for repeating this particular message, if you want to call it that. The changes that we're encountering as part of this large sequence will appear as pairs in lots of other different songs. And so as we become familiar with playing over those changes, when we come to them in isolation, you know, some of these changes, it may be a whole song is just that one change, as opposed to having, you know, 8 or 9 changes in the one song. So when you come to those situations, you're already equipped with thinking about where your chord shapes are, looking for the phrasing points, looking for what you might call the guide tones that tell you where there's been a change in a sequence. So, you know, even if you're playing a blues, you can use the same thinking. So that'd be an example, but okay, there are loads of examples. Now, so at this stage, really the best advice I can possibly give you is just to keep working at those changes and try it all the time, just to be musical. It's not clever to be unmusical, let's put it that way. Play stuff which sounds nice, that's the key. You want it to be nice and melodic and creative and interesting and articulate. That's the key to it. So that's all for now. So thanks very much for watching. Please press the subscribe button if you could, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.